Welcome to Your Biz, Your Rules, the podcast for business-minded go-getters hosted by me, your favourite brain and biz coach, Dara Paddy. This is the spot for those of you ready to blend heart and head, woo and do, income and impact, change and chill, and so much more. So grab yourself a cuppa and let's get started. Welcome to episode 210 of Your Biz, Your Rules. In this week's show, I'm interrupting our planned episode list and switching things up. It was actually supposed to be our Q&A show today, but there's something a little bit more important that I feel the need to share. So on Friday, it was my fabulous VA Danny's birthday, and to celebrate her, I wanted to record an episode in her honour. So today we're going to be diving into some of my very favourite ways to outsource. Now I want to start by saying I have a teeny tiny micro team. It is just Danny and I who create and manage everything. So even if you can't stretch to a full-on multiplayer team right now, I want you to understand how much your life can change with just the support of one person. There is so much that Danny helps me with day to day, but let's look at a few of the core areas that make the biggest impact. So, seeing as this is a podcast episode, let's start with my podcast process. So Danny plays a massive role in that. So once a month, I sit down and I will outline and batch record all of the episodes. Now, typically I will edit as I go, just because we do very minimal editing, so I will just stitch on the intro and the outro, and that's pretty much it. But if there is any editing of the recording that I want doing, I will send that to her as well. But that's more of an ad hoc thing. So once I have uploaded all of the podcast recordings, she then takes those recordings and she turns them into show notes for my website. So every episode has like a blog post that summarizes the content of the episode, and it also lists out any links mentioned, any action steps that I recommend you take, any resources I recommend, anything like that. She'll pop those in the show notes. And then she will also create the graphics. So she'll create a graphic that gets uploaded to Libsyn and that is used on the website. She'll create Instagram graphics that I can use both for the main episode and like a quote that I can use at some other point. She'll create graphics in like a story, Instagram story size. She'll also make me a couple of videos. So she turns every single episode into a video that can be uploaded on YouTube. She then goes ahead and schedules it on YouTube with all of the like description and tags and all of that stuff. And she'll make me a 15-second video clip that I can use as a reel or as an Instagram story. And then in addition to that, she will like make sure that everything is uploaded, everything's checked, everything's scheduled, and then I have all of the promotional graphics and videos ready to go when I want to promote the show. Then when it comes to my group programs, Danny also plays a massive role there. So I usually have at least two things running at once. So there's always Unshakable Business Academy, which is my rolling mastermind that people typically join for 12 months. And then I'll also have like shorter programs too. So those might be 4-week things, 8-week things, 12-week things, something like that. And she definitely has an impact on both of those. So let's look at Unshakable Business Academy first. So one of the things that happens there when I create training, so the trainings that I pre-record, she will take those videos and she'll chop those up and edit them. So typically I will like sit down and just create like one long video addressing a particular topic. Then she will go ahead and chop those into bite-sized lessons and then upload them on YouTube as private videos, embed them in Membervault, and write up their descriptions and action steps for me. Now, I say Membervault because that's the platform we're currently using. We're actually going to be migrating everything over to a different course platform, and Danny is going to be in charge of that too. So that's another thing that you can definitely very easily outsource. In fact, I outsourced it to her when we migrated everything into Membervault. So And that's something that she did wonderfully well. So that's the sort of pre-recorded training element of it. So she'll take those recordings, like I said, edit them. She will write up the notes for them, create any additional like workbooks or guides that are needed to go with each lesson. All of that stuff she handles. She'll also create graphics for the program, the like modules, the lessons, like because in Member Vault they all have header graphics, and she is in charge of doing those. Then when it comes to the more live aspects of the program, one thing that gets outsourced is the Facebook group posts. So every week we have a post going out asking people to like sort of set their intentions or declare their goals for the week. Once a month we also have like a similar sort of reflections post, and then once a quarter the same sort of thing. She is in charge of doing all of those. She's also in charge of posting reminders for all of the calls. So every 2 weeks we have a group coaching call, and then once a quarter we have a virtual retreat, and she will post in the group giving everybody a reminder. She will send an email again reminding people, sharing the link so that people can access it easily, and all of that good stuff. She will also then take the recordings, she'll download them from Zoom, she'll upload them to YouTube as a private video, and again embed them in Member Vault so that people can access the replay. And she does this with a really tight turnaround time, so the following day the call will always be available for people to watch the replay. So you can see how a lot of the management of the group program itself and the moving parts are outsourced. I really just show up to create resources and to support people and do the delivery piece. Now let's talk about the product creation part. So I've already mentioned what she would do in terms of like editing videos that I create, creating workbooks, all of that sort of stuff. But when you create a product, there are other admin bits involved. So as an example, the checkout page, the sales page, the email automations, and that's something that Danny takes charge of. So when I have an idea for a new program, typically I'll send her a voice note being really giddy and excited about it, but then I will go into Slack and just list out how I see the structure taking place. And we'll talk it out a little bit because something that is really valuable in having somebody that really supports you in so many different ways and knows your business so well is that you can bounce ideas around, get feedback, they can ask really smart questions that make you consider things in different ways, and that's something that I love to have Danny there for. But we'll talk those things out so we can really get clear on what this new product or program will look like, how it will be delivered, the pricing structure, the promotion ideas, all of that stuff, and we'll talk it through. And then often Danny will then take all of those ramblings in Slack and turn it into a project plan in Asana, which we can then both have some input into. Sometimes I do the Asana part depending on how fully formed the idea is in my mind, but sometimes Danny does that too. And then she will take charge of any techie bits. So she'll go ahead and set it up as a product in Thrivecart. So that's where we have our checkout pages. Sometimes the sales pages will be built directly in Thrivecart, and sometimes they're on my website, but either way, Danny creates them. So she might ask me a couple of questions just to get the information that she needs for those sales pages, but then she will take charge of the design, and then once it's done, she'll just send it to me for feedback, because very occasionally I want to add a little bit of info, or maybe I just want to like tweak a color or the way something's laid out. But for the most part, she takes charge of all sales pages, and then she takes charge of any tech that needs connecting to those sales pages. So obviously we have the payment link that is in Thrivecart, and then it sends people to a tag in my email marketing platform in ConvertKit. She will then set that up so that people receive a welcome email, and that welcome email typically gives them access to the product in Member Vault, which she also sets up. And that might be just like an intro lesson and how to get started if it's a program that is going to be delivered live, or if it's something self-study or that like an instant access kind of thing, then they would get access to the main product. And depending on what it is, there might also be a little bit of an implementation email sequence. So if it's something that people need reminders to keep coming back and checking in on the resources or keep working through things, then she'll also set up an email sequence that will encourage people to do that. Something else that she's recently just done, because I made a tweak to the way we do things. So I set up a Facebook group, it's called Friends and Faves, and it's for clients only. So anybody who's ever purchased any of my things gets an invite into that. So she's recently gone through and updated the welcome portion of all of my different products and programs so that people get an invitation to that group when they sign up for something. Then let's also talk about launching. So we've talked about like product creation and delivery, but she definitely has a massive role in my launch process. And that's regardless of whether it is kind of like a flash sale style launch, an informal launch, or like a big bells and whistle launch that has a conversion event. Let's talk specifically about the conversion event version of a launch, because I think that's probably the one where I outsource the most. So, by the way, when I say conversion event, I mean either a webinar or a challenge or like something like that. So let's talk about when I run a challenge. So Danny's role, again, will start with me brain dumping a whole bunch of stuff in Slack, and that plan then gets put into Asana so we can like manage it a little bit more easily. She will create the landing page for me. Again, sometimes she'll ask me for a little bit of information, depending on how like detailed I've been in that Slack chat. Sometimes she will just take the idea and turn it into a landing page. And then what happens there is that she will create a tripwire page too. So we have a couple of different options for tripwires depending on what it is that we're offering as a conversion event. So usually, if it's a webinar or a masterclass, then people's tripwire invitation will be to sign up for the Unshakable journaling program that I have at a really reduced rate. If it's more of like a challenge or a series of masterclasses, then the tripwire will usually be a VIP version where they get access to a bundle of resources and then some group calls. So it does depend what we do depending on the conversion event itself. But she will just take full control of setting all of that up. And then again, they will get added to a specific tag in ConvertKit, and they will get one of two email sequences that she sets up. So the first one is for somebody who signs up for the conversion event but does not buy the tripwire. So they will get a series of emails just sort of introducing them to the way that I work, what they can expect, giving them some resources to help them get some quick wins before the event even starts. And in each of those emails, they'll also get a nudge to upgrade to the tripwire version. That's specifically if we're talking about a challenge here. And then if people sign up and do get access to the tripwire, so they do upgrade already, then they get a version of that email sequence but without all of the nudges to join. And like I said, I don't have any input there. I wrote the emails once for one challenge many moons ago, and Danny goes in and updates things and makes sure they're still relevant to what we're offering now, because the structure is very much the same for those emails. And then if I want to do any promotional emails for like either getting people to the event or later on when I want to promote the product itself, I will just write all of those out in a Google Doc, send them to Danny. She will put them into ConvertKit, format them nicely, and make sure they're scheduled at appropriate times. When we are running the event itself, so during that week where it's live, she does a few things for me there too. So number one, she will send out the replay emails. So in those emails, she will send out a link to the daily live. She will write a summary of what we covered during that session, and she will summarize the action steps for the day, because whenever I do any kind of free course or challenge or experience like that, it's always very practically minded, and I always give people action steps, the completion of which allows them to be in the running to win some prizes. So she'll summarize all of that information in an email and make sure that they're getting those in their inbox right after the live is over. But while I am still live teaching, she'll be there with me. So she will be there in the comments, making sure that any questions that get asked are addressed, because sometimes the lag is a little bit crazy in Facebook, and then sometimes people are asking technical questions. So if somebody's asking like, oh, like how can I upgrade and get the VIP version, she'll just like quickly give them the link before I even see the question come through. And bits and pieces like that. And she will also take a few moments just to tag everybody while I'm live, because sometimes Facebook is weird and it just doesn't show you when people are live, even if it is something that you want to see. So anyone who has opted in to do like a free challenge or experience will get that notification just for extra ease. And there are probably many things that I'm forgetting there, but I wanted to give you an overview of some of the really like big projects that Danny helped make so much easier for me. And we have some amazing systems in place that make it possible for us to manage all of this so seamlessly. And if that sounds like a bit of what you need, then I highly encourage you to check out Organize and Grow Your Biz with SOPs, which is one of Danny's self-study courses. It provides some really in-depth training on how to create systems that work for you, no matter what stage of business you're at. It's not like a overcomplicated generic bunch of templates that you're expected to use. This is all about crafting a method that does work for you and your business, whether you are still a one-person band or you have a team of 10. It will work. I'll pop the link in the show notes if you want to check that out, because her trainings are so good. They're so straight to the point, but they also go to an appropriate amount of depth, so you don't feel like you're just absorbing things that you've already heard before. And if you're thinking, oh, this pitch sounds amazing, I want one for myself, then you'll also want to take a look at Organize and Grow Your Biz with a Team, which is another of Danny's courses. This one will walk you through how to get your business set up and ready for a new team member, how to hire that perfect person, and also how to manage them once you do, because delegating often does not come easily, and sometimes we just need a helping hand to getting our heads around that. So again, I'll put the link in the show notes. One thing that I want to make abundantly clear here, in case you hadn't gathered it, is that Danny is amazing. Being a VA is a highly skilled position, and unfortunately I don't always see it get celebrated as such, but that's a conversation for a different day. If you're sat there listening to this and thinking that you might quite like to be a VA yourself, then here are your next steps. Danny is actually running a 5-day challenge starting today that will help you hone in on your marketable skills, package them up, and pitch them to well-paying clients by the end of the week. So if you are wanting a change of scene, if you're wanting an additional income stream, if you want to sack off your day job and start taking charge of your own life, your own destiny, then this might be a fantastic place for you to start. The link to register now is in the show notes. But if you are listening after the fact, then I don't want you to just like sort of click away thinking, oh, I've missed my chance. No, I highly recommend that you just connect with Danny, reach out to her on Facebook or on Instagram, because I know she has a ton of magic in the works designed to help support new VAs. So again, I will pop all of those links in the show notes so that you can, pick your poison. All of this to say, happy birthday, Danny. I love you. Now, next week, we will be shifting back to our usual programming, and I'll be bringing you that Q&A episode I promised. I will see you then. Thank you for listening to Your Biz, Your Rules. I know that we all like to listen to podcasts, watch videos, read articles or books or posts on Facebook and not really do anything with that information. So I want to challenge you right now. I want to challenge you to take something from this episode, anything, and use it to spark action. Use it to activate some kind of change in the way you work and the way you live. Do yourself this service today and tell me all about it on Instagram. Hop over Shoot me a DM or share an Instagram story showcasing what action you are taking thanks to this episode. And of course, do all of the usual things. Subscribe, leave a review, let me know how much you love the show, and I'll be back with you next week.